Molt bona tarda a tothom, benvinguts i
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the CCCB, the Center for Contemporary Culture in Barcelona. Thank you very much for joining us in the 12th European Prize for Urban Public Space. I would like to say hello to those following on streaming through the website of Public Space. It is an honor to present this event today, presided by Mr. Pau González Val, Delegate Chair of the Department of Culture of the Barcelona Provincial Council. We also have Ms. Maria Boigas y San Jose, Head Architect of the Town Council of Barcelona, Judith Carreras Codé, General Director of the CCCB, and Bet Gali y Camproví, President of the International Jury of the European Prize for Urban Space 2024. We also have the other 6 members of the jury: Sonia Cornier from Lausanne, Fabrizio Galanti from Bourdois, Zalinka Grigorijevic from Belgrade, Beate Holmepak from Oslo, Manon Muller from London, and Francesco Musca from Venice. This is a prize that was funded in the year 2000 and recognizes the best interventions in the creation, transformation, and recovery of public spaces in European cities. A benchmark award for architects and urban planners, which serves as an observatory of the evolution of European cities. In this year, new projects have been presented from all over the world, rethinking the way we live in shared urban spaces and proposing innovative solutions. The award is a biennial initiative promoted by the CCCB, which is why it's now time to welcome its director, Judith Carrera.
Moltes gràcies, Carolina.
Thank you very much, Carolina. Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of the CCCB, I would like to welcome you to this European Prize for Urban Public Space event. Thank you very much to the delegated chair of the Culture Department of Barcelona Provincial Council, the head architect, Maria Boigas. It's a privilege and an honor to have you here. Thank you also very much to the president of the jury, Bet Gali, architect and urban planner, essential in the recent history of Barcelona. I would also like to thank the members of the international jury. Thank you, Sonia.
Jacqueline, Beate, Manon, and Francesco for your incredible work. Moltíssimes gràcies també.
Thank you also very much to Luis Ortega, who has acted as my secretary, has led the project, and the Architecture School of El Vallès for their wonderful collaboration. I would also like to thank the former president, Elias Torres and Rick We're very excited to have you here with us, and I would also like to offer sincere thanks to the team of the CCCB, which makes this complex and passionate project possible. Anna, Masha, Rosé, Mar, Andrea, Eli, and the wonderful production and communication teams of the center. Today is a wonderful day at the CCCB because we're celebrating this 12th European Prize for Urban Public Space and Privilege Observatory of European Cities that was created in the year 2000. It is the only prize in Europe which is specifically devoted to public space, which beyond architecture or landscaping places the stress in the relational and civic character of urban spaces. Because public space is an area loaded with values and materials intimately linked to democracy. So a cultural center as the CCCB, which is not an institution devoted to architecture in Europe, leads reflection on public space and the political, social, and cultural importance of the shape of cities. Throughout the past 24 years, the prize has become a mirror of European cities, of the big shared problems and the regional specificities that make it especially good. Snapshot of history and present time based on streets, squares, seafronts, train stations, libraries, culture centers linked with natural resources, or the suburbs. The prize is therefore a privileged portrait of cities that share history, culture, and we hope and trust political project. And this reminds us that probably the best cultural contribution of Europe is the public space, a dense and compact city that trusts the mix of populations and cultures to make its project possible. Today, when the European project is at a crisis, we would like to claim this political and cultural relevance of public space in our cities. More than 20 years later, the challenges of cities are written in capital letters, and it is essential to renew the urban agenda. The growth of cities has blurred the boundaries of rural and urban. It has forever altered the traditional vision of cities, which are no longer a determined shape coming from the medieval times, but a process where the industry, services, communication flows, energy, and food coincide in a space of multiple shapes and wills. The pandemic had a contradictory effect of underlining the centrality of shared public spaces and at the same time turning cities into a hostile place versus the contact with nature that the rural world could offer. The heat waves every summer are a turning point in our consciousness, our awareness of the impacts of the climate crisis, which, according to the UN, impact 3 out of each 5 cities. The war in Ukraine and the Middle East again damage urban territories. So facing all of these challenges, the prize offers an optimistic message, a message of trust in the creative and transformative force of architecture, the capacity of urban planning, town planning to project ourselves into the future, to stop climate change, to build bridges where differences separate us, to create more accessible and breathable cities, to promote mixing instead of ghettos, and to imagine spaces which, as Manuel de Sola Morales said, create the awareness, the consciousness that we belong in a more broad and complex society. 25 years of history show that the city is disorganized and the public space is uncontrollable, and this is the price we have to pay for all forms of life and equality. The prize continues to trust cities as the key place for contemporaneity, this imperfect place where 86% Europeans live, and we now need to rethink as ecosystems that make life inhabitable in this new environment. Because cities, we know, that concentrate the main problems of humanity, but also have the capacity to invent solutions and to turn them into, together with other cities, a distributed network of knowledge like the one created by this prize. This project is the result of the network that the CCCB built over the years throughout Europe, the alliance with the main institutions and architecture museums in the continent, a very long list of experts and juries that year after year trace all European cities. Year after year, the archive of the European Prize has become an exceptional tool at the service of architects, town planners, and political representatives, accumulating imaginative proposals that solve problems in a way that works and that make cities a place in which we can imagine a better world. Thank you very much.
Moltes gràcies.
Thank you very much, Judith. Congratulations on this year's edition. And in order to find out what the values and objectives of this prize are and to know more about the members of the jury of this 2024 edition, we have a video that we will now watch.
The European Prize for Urban Public Space, an initiative of the Centre of Contemporary Culture of Barcelona, CCCB, is a biennial event which, since 2000, has recognized the best projects to create and transform public spaces in European cities. Working with experts and architectural, academic and cultural institutions from all around Europe has enabled the prize to become consolidated throughout the continent to ensure access to outstanding public space projects and also to become a privileged observatory of European cities and an area of reference in the debate about the challenges of urban public space. Today's climate emergency has transformed global agendas, adding even more challenges to the social problems faced by cities to the extent that they have become key issues in urban thinking. Matters like inclusion, mobility and the climate emergency are confronting cities with challenges that have a direct effect on urban design and public spaces, but for which there are still no clear answers. The international jury for this year's prize consists of the following members: Beth Gali, Sonia Cournier, Jacqueline Grigorievich, Beate Holmebach, Manon Mollard, Francesco Musco, Fabrizio Galanti. In this year's award, the prize has two distinct categories: General category and Seafront category. A total of 253 projects from 33 countries have been presented for the General category, and a total of 44 projects for 21 countries have been presented for the Seafront category. The representation of the prize throughout the continent is one of its most notable features. For the Seafront category, the jury has selected 5 projects that will be included in the prize archive. For the General category, the jury has selected 25 projects that will be included in the prize archive. Among them, the 5 finalists that have now reached the final phase of the award.
Doncs ja ho heu vist, tenim un jurat molt internacional.
Well, you've seen it, a very international jury and a selection of projects that covers a great deal of the European territory. Actually, in this year's awards, a total of 297 projects have been presented from 35 different countries. So it is undoubtedly a record participation figure that confirms the importance of public space in the current and future context. What are these proposals like? What do they contribute to the built environment, and who has turned them into a reality? We will start to find out now. We will start with the maritime front category. The prize has exceptionally incorporated this category to address the challenges that coastal cities have to face in the coming decades in the face of the climate emergency. The maritime front category, the Seafront category, is part of the Cultural Regatta, the program of activities promoted by the Barcelona City Council that has accompanied the celebration of the America Cup sailing competition. 44 projects were presented in this category. Among them, the jury has selected 5 finalists. Their authors presented them in front of the members of the jury at the public event held here at the CCCB on September 9. But now we will discover them. We will discover one by one the 5 finalists of this category, and we will start with the Beach Boulevard in Delft in the Netherlands.
The Marconi Buitendijks project has reconnected the city centre of Delfzijl to the Waddenzee. Due to rising sea levels and climate change, stronger defences were required, but they had created a visual barrier between the town and the sea. The new boulevard addresses this problem by establishing a link between them and creating a new public space through infrastructural improvements and ecological restoration.
Beyond the reinforcement of the dike, Beach Boulevard also becomes an opportunity to reconnect the city with its seafront. This project addresses both infrastructural needs and ecological restoration. This is a project that shows that the need for coastal protection can also become an opportunity to create new and enhanced public spaces.
Aquest projecte té una bona disposició de treball entre arquitectes i enginyers, que mai és fàcil, perquè són llenguatges diferents i són interessos diferents. La veritat és que és un projecte molt fi de disseny, i de disseny que no és fàcil, de disseny enginyeril, perquè realment aquí no es pot anar amb elements extremament delicats, sinó que realment s'ha de buscar una intenció més enllà de l'arquitectura, que és la de l'enginyer. I aquesta unió entre les dues actituds, diguem, ens ha interessat molt, i és el que realment hem valorat.
The dike's design is distinctive due to its meandering trajectory, which inspired the layout of the boulevard. Along the path, multiple spots provide opportunities for squares and scenic viewpoints, inviting people to stop, rest, and enjoy the surroundings.
Bé, doncs ja hem conegut el primer projecte i ara
Well, this was the first project. We will continue with the reurbanization of the Dún Laoghaire Baths in Dublin, Ireland.
The redevelopment of the Dún Laoghaire Baths in County Dublin revitalises this long-abandoned seafront facilities, reconnecting the town with the sea. This was accomplished through careful and skillful use of materials that acknowledge the ocean's energy, thus resulting in a durable and socially inclusive new route to the water for all citizens.
The project creates several points of entry from the city to the sea, and it makes the most of the different levels that there are from the kind of main street all the way down to the jetty and the sea. At street level, there's the restoration of an Edwardian building into a cafe that provides expansive views of the seascape. And as visitors move down towards the sea, there's a series of steps and of ramps that allow them to move closer to the water, but also become spaces to wander and to linger.
The way it's designed, it's a very sort of robust project with very controlled means.
The cafe's outdoor street-level terrace offers views of the new jetty and the Roger Casement sculpture on the horizon. A lift and stairs connect to the lower level, which features 4 artist studios and a shared foyer for exhibitions. Several buildings that had been added over the years on the seaward side were removed. The area now features multiple levels, accessible staircases, seating and viewing points, grassy areas, and a refurbished Edwardian gazebo.
Bé, i tot seguit coneixem...
Okay, and up next, the project at the Camí de Ronda in Palamós. The Coastal Walk.
The 5-kilometre coastal intervention in Palamós serves as a model of excellent design, preserving and enhancing the coastal landscape by linking the town, nearby beaches, and a natural park. Through minimal interventions and maximise impact, the project reflects a deep understanding of the site. The coastal walk connects pre-existing segments into a continuous path that links the town, its beaches, and the natural park.
The project was selected because it really is a combination of a strong political will, an overall strategy which is really clever. The task itself is cleverly defined, but it also materializes in a project that is carefully constructed and detailed, and that was what was really appreciated by the jury, that all the small sites specificities were recognized by the designers, who really worked in section, understanding all the different ecological aspects of each sequence of the promenade, and that responded very carefully to these site-specific needs.
And the beauty of the area is not damaged by these interventions. On the contrary, they are so sophisticated that the jury considered that really a privilege.
Although the new path accommodates many users, both locals and visitors, the surrounding landscape and nature are recovering. This approach celebrates the sublime landscape, reduces human impact, and ensures its long-term protection.
Ara tot seguit...
And up next, we will watch a video on the project of improvement of the beach and redevelopment of the port area in the Galician city Porto do Son.
This project in Porto do Son renaturalizes the seafront, which is currently occupied by an urbanized strip, by creating a terrain with dunes that protect an existing park and re-establish the relationship between port activity and the local community. In the port area, the redevelopment addresses the challenge of balancing port activities with the needs of citizens, parking, and the expanding commercial and residential demands of this central, emblematic, and strategic part of the town.
The first part of a project dedicated to the redevelopment of Barbanza Peninsula is a project that tried to requalify public spaces, introducing new elements in the water design and waterscape design of the urban area. It's a real physical connection of the peninsula that permits to improve the mobility between the two parts and essentially to improve public spaces, reconnecting the two parts dedicated to portual activities and the living part of the city. The second part of a project dedicated to the beaches is very, very peculiar because it introduces element of high level in terms of biodiversity, in terms of restoration of the dunes that can represent a real physical but natural redesigned measure to protect the area to coastal storming, for example, seaside impact in particular, accordingly nature-based solution.
In the dune area, fine sand was deposited in mounds arranged in 2 staggered lines. Wickerwork catchers were installed at the base of these mounds. Their flexibility and permeability allow the dunes to grow on the leeward side and consolidate at the base.
Bé, i acabem amb un projecte.
And finally, an Italian project, the Rimini Sea Park, or Porto del Mare.
Sea Park in Rimini transforms the previously unstructured and fragmented seafront into an urban park, seamlessly integrated with its surroundings. The design features sinuous lines and soft colors that guide visitors along the waterfront. Wood and ceramic paving are used to highlight different themes in various sections, connecting the park with the city. Native vegetation, including dunes and coastal flora, is incorporated to provide shade and enhance the natural beauty of the promenade.
It's a park that offers new leisurely opportunities for the people from Rimini, but also for tourists, places to move, to meet, to contemplate the sea. It has a strong language, a specific identity, a character to this park, but that really works in a city like Rimini, which already has different architectural forces in line.
And I think it's quite impressive how all these different elements of the project, from the infrastructural element to the sort of narrative elements, talking about the city's culture, the city's history, how all these elements are orchestrated into one architectural experience.
At the same time, it's a very relevant project because try to include the measure of climate adaptation and climate remediation, especially in connection to the possibility that extreme weather events, storm event connected to the sea can affect the urban environment.
The park plays a vital role in reducing the effects of climate change while mitigating the intense tourist impact on the area's urban character and quality.
Bé, doncs hem conegut els 5 projectes.
Okay, so we've now seen the 5 projects, and now it is time to know which one is the winning project in the seafront category of the European Prize for Urban Public Space 2024, which is awarded jointly to the authors and the developers of the work. And the winning project is the improvement of the beach and redevelopment of the Harbour Edge in Puerto del Son, a work by Krause Carrasco and RVR Architect Studios. The promoting institutions or developing institutions are Portos de Galicia, Conselleria do Mar, Xunta de Galicia, and Consello Porto del Son. I will read the minutes of the jury. The Porto del Son project fulfills a double purpose to restore the naturalness of the seafront with dunes that protect an existing park, and to rebuild the relationship between port activities and the local community. The jury especially appreciates the fact that the project demonstrates a deep understanding of the problems it addresses, including the need to protect and integrate the architecture and defenses of the seafront, the urgency of guaranteeing access to water for all members of the community, connecting these experiences closely as possible to the urban fabric, the need to provide infrastructures that improve the use of the seafront by pedestrians, and the importance of safeguarding and restoring natural systems in a situation of urbanization and climate change. This approach is carried out with honesty, care, and an in-depth architectural knowledge. The jury says it is a design that responds to urban needs and respects natural systems. The prize will be received by Juan Creus of Creus and Carrasco Studio and Marcel Rodriguez of RVR Studio, authors of the work and also the developers of the project. And in order to present the award, we invite to the stage Ms. Maria Buigas, head architect of the Town Council of Barcelona. A big round of applause for the winners.
Pesa muchísimo.
It is very heavy. Congratulations. Please come close so that we can take the picture with Ms. Buigas here, center stage.
Y ahora sí, el micrófono es vuestro.
And now you have the floor. Thank you very much to the jury, of course. You explained the project very well, so we don't need to tell you much more. We would like to show our appreciation to the institutions. I see here you give them value as well. As architects, we've had a very difficult and important work of getting consensus. It's a task that we have to do. And we would like to thank, of course, the Xunta de Galicia, Portos de Galicia, the Town Council as well. They have participated so much, and not only them, also the Association of Fishermen, neighbor associations, business owners. It's a complex project for us, of course, but I think we've made it. We brought it forward. And regarding the architecture, I think that we've had two important approaches. The project includes that so very well. On the one hand, not giving up on the activities, the actions of architects. There is a part of the project where we clearly act, and that action needs to acknowledge, and I think we've done so, that we have to transform places but maintaining their identity. You know, the seafront has been built in a very longitudinal manner. People have filled the gaps. We have built barrier after barrier where people have filled the gaps. So we have tried to find small places that had a memory, but also discover some new places like the viewing platform. So these actions of the architect are present at different intensities, but always present. And on the other hand, we have this other type of project that we believe is coming upon us, which is renaturalization, in a way dismantling former architectures. we saw a picture of the past. We didn't show a picture of the past status of the beach. It was like a wall of concrete. It was a street, a very urban thing that separated the park from the beach. So what we did was deconstruct it, go backwards in a way, and implement a very simple action of creating these platforms for the dunes to regenerate themselves. Some gravel, some sand, some water, and the wind and the water end up shaping it. This is another way of working that I think is present there as well. And that would be all. I don't know if you want to add anything, but thank you for the award, for the prize. Well, Juan basically said everything, but I would like to thank the jury mainly, as we said at the beginning. I would like to thank them for having given value to our project, for them to see the value of our project, amongst others that were all very deserving of the prize. I would like to thank the administrations as well. They were very involved in this project having a positive impact on society, recuperating the port area that cars had completely taken over. It was a complex project, and I would also like to thank everyone who intervened, companies, citizens who had to put up with 2.5 years of construction work at the center of the village, so that's an important thing too. So just thank you all very much, and see you next time.
Pues
Congratulations, and now that you're here, Maria Boigas, it is your turn. Well, I wouldn't say it will be a speech, I will just share a few words, a few remarks. But I wanted to take this opportunity to simply say a few things. The first one is that the acknowledgement and the celebration we should all have of these prizes. We have one in public space, one in landscaping, one in architecture, and all of these prizes have been here for more than a decade, and we should celebrate this. Giving prizes, awards, is the recognition of a collective effort that transforms the lives of our citizens, but also I think that the value comes when we accumulate years of one thing, because this gives us this history. And here I would like to mention what Carrera said about the archive that is generated by this award. If you have never accessed the website, please do so, because it also helps us take the temperature of one thing. And this morning, a journalist asked me, is the city over and done? And I would say, well, that wouldn't be the terminology. The city is never over and done, it's never finished. And well, we've seen words that attest to these in all of the presentations of the projects, in all of the videos, all of these projects. I'm especially happy that we're presenting the seafront category this time. Many of the cities that have a seafront, at some point when port activities change, we discovered the potential of spaces recuperated for the citizens as public space. Many cities, and Barcelona is one example. Well, I have a slide that I oftentimes use on the coast with aerial pictures of the 50s and now, and it is completely different. The skyline, the seafront, the coastline back then and now, they're completely different. And it's been an approximation, an approach to this sea and this ocean, which historically has given us this gate to the world, to get to know the world, and we've received a lot from it. And in the current context, well, we approach it, but at the same time, we know we have to defend ourselves. Some of the presentations described this defense. And what I thought was more poetic, if you allow me to use the word, and I think this is something we should acknowledge, it is that these projects do not only renaturalize, protect, redefine, rediscover, re-signify these spaces, but they also do so with a degree of beauty, consciousness in choosing materials, and a commitment so as not to give up on the relationship we want to have with these areas, at the same time modifying the way in which we approach them. I think all of them, and congratulations to the winners, but I think all of them, the shortlisted ones, everyone, they all deserve this recognition, and I'm sure these prizes will continue to inspire us, because the city is never finished, but not only that, we will always have work to do to make sure that it meets the conditions that citizens need. Thank you very much.
Moltes gràcies,
Thank you very much, Maria Boigas, for your words. And well, we said it at the beginning, this is a unique prize in Barcelona. In this year's awards, we've seen 253 projects in the general category, and from there the jury shortlisted 25 works and chose 5 finalists, which were presented yesterday to the members of the jury here, and today are competing for the European Prize for Urban Public Space 2024. We will now discover these 5 projects in the general category, and we will start with the 7 interventions in Monte Castel San Pietro in Switzerland.
This project is the result of thorough study of several peripheral areas of Ticino, where the needs and challenges faced by the elderly population in their daily lives were identified as key issues to address. In response to these findings, Monte implemented a proposal which, with its painstaking and sophisticated architectural craftsmanship, has transformed the town into a more accessible, inclusive and supportive environment.
What the project does is to sort of support the life of the inhabitants in the city by introducing simple interventions like rails, handrails, benches, places to sit by a table, water pools, drinking fountains, and small things that makes it easier for an elderly person to move about in the city and meet people in the city. The reason why I am impressed by the project is the quality of the design. Not only the sort of intention behind and the goodwill and beautiful thinking behind the project, but actually the tectonic and material and architectural quality of the interventions. Everything is sort of tactile and everything is incredibly concrete, present, tangible. Being able to make such, in many ways, simple interventions with such presence and certainty, that is very hard to do.
7 points of interest with previously untapped potential were identified in the preliminary research. These points are enhanced through small, precise architectural interventions designed to reinforce the historical significance of the place, improve accessibility, and encourage social interaction. Each intervention along the path relates to existing historical, social, or physical potentials uncovered during the research phase, resulting in minimal architectural interference.
Bé, ja tenim el primer.
Okay, that was the first one, and we will continue with the exhibition palace in Charleroi, in Belgium.
This large structure in Charleroi provides a good example of how post-industrial sites can be reintegrated into the urban landscape and public life. It achieves this by harnessing the potential of the neglected structure and the project's open-ended nature.
So in many ways, it is a very optimistic project, sort of opening up a structure, leaving or changing it from a building to a built landscape, inviting the city to make use of it.
It's a project that has been selected because it raises questions or reveals potentials more than it brings answers.
The way the building will be used is a little bit uncertain at this moment, which is one of the reasons why the jury felt quite excited about it, but also felt that it was important to commend it, to ensure that it is the right kind of program in use that help activate this building.
The project makes good use of the huge volume of the building, which is situated on a slope between the city centre and the post-industrial landscape surrounded by large car parks. By inviting public space, parking and landscape into the building, the project re-establishes a connection between the city centre and its surrounds.
Bé, i ara...
Okay, and we will continue with the third project, the Boca de la Mina Promenade in Reus.
Boca de la Mina, to the northeast of Reus, is a fine example of seamless integration by means of meticulous design of landscape, history, ecological needs, and health and leisure activities. The project consists of a new segment of the promenade, which is designed to establish an efficient drainage system utilizing the existing transverse slope. The promenade route reveals a series of fascinating points of natural, historical, and educational significance.
It's a project that was selected by the jury because it's really carefully designed based on a very clear understanding of the site, not only the site as it stands today, but also its history. And it's addressing these functional problems, but it's also bringing new amenities, benches, spaces to understand the history of the site, connecting with the historical heritage also in the architectural from the architectural point of view. Oh, maybe also one thing that we appreciated as a jury is the fact that there was mainly one material that is used and is used in different formats and in different ways.
The project is keeping natural, historic and educational values, the history of the site, and it brings the sense of belonging to the people living in the neighborhood and walking towards the school which was raised in the meantime.
The project reinterprets and amplifies the importance of each of these points, with interventions relating to historical, social, or physical potentials uncovered during the research phase, but also ensuring minimal architectural interference. While the existing trees and pathways serve as focal elements, the cornerstone of the intervention is the handcrafted brickwork. The variety of formats and structures offer diverse solutions in the terrain, enriching the overall project and imparting a coherent character to the route as a whole.
Bé, ara coneixem...
And now we will get to know the urban forest in Tbilisi, in Georgia.
Tatsminda Mountain in Tbilisi is an ambitious 700-hectare project aimed at rectifying a flawed plantation strategy from the 1920s in which only pines were planted. This aging pine plantation has suffered significant die-off due to pests and fungi, creating a fire hazard and posing a risk to public safety.
the previous presence of an urban forest made essentially of a monoculture of black pines that with the passing of time simply suffered of different disease until the last few years, recent years, in which the forest essentially was disappearing.
It's an incredibly ambitious project of ecological repair, and it will also provide much needed recreational space for citizens of the capital of Georgia, as well as very biodiverse habitats for wildlife. The new planting takes into account different soil and slope conditions. So the landscape architect, worked with a lot of scientists and specialists to kind of build new tools to develop the proposal. They also worked with local nurseries, and the kind of wider ambition is to strengthen the city's connection to its surrounding ecosystem.
The Tbilisi Urban Forest Project seeks to enhance biodiversity, build resilience to climate change, and provide new recreational opportunities for citizens and tourists. Ruderol has developed and tested a novel approach to urban afforestation that integrates ecology, technology, and aesthetics through 2 pilot planting projects. Unlike other municipal projects that rely on imported trees, this initiative supports native plant nurseries, strengthening the city's connection to its surrounding ecosystems and dramatically reducing the project's carbon footprint.
Bé, i acabem.
Okay, and finally the Warsaw Park.
On the site of the Warsaw Uprising Mount, located in one of the central districts of the city, where residential development was rapidly expanding. This mound originated as a dumping ground from the rubble from the destruction wrought during World War II.
It creates a new kind of monumentality because the project is based on artificial mound that was created by accumulating all the rubble of the destruction of the Second World War, becoming a very important site in the city, charged with memory, but yet not fully equipped with all the circulation and amenities that could have allowed the citizens to properly use it. And it becomes a place where memory, of course, is evoked, but without making it a static condition, but rather offering it back in a better shape, in a better condition to the public.
De fet, és un projecte molt emotiu i realment els projectes urbans, els espais urbans, quan tenen valors afegits, sempre és algo que interessa. Els valors de l'espai públic, cosa molt difícil de conservar la memòria, o sigui, no renunciar a l'emoció que aquest montícul havia tingut sempre, el que havia representat pels ciutadans de Varsòvia, aquell montícul, que el nou parc conservi i no renunciï a aquests valors de memòria, d'emoció, de records, és molt difícil i aquest parc ho ha aconseguit. En principi jo valoro molt que els projectes no comencin tots a zero. No cal fer tabula rasa, no cal començar a zero quan es treballa a les ciutats. Hi ha moltíssimes coses, moltíssims elements que es poden conservar. I aquest parc ho ha fet, cosa que no és fàcil.
The park provides a public space that innovatively connects with the memory of the place. It creates a new urban area with a character that acknowledges and highlights the history of the place, reuses the ruins from the World War II destruction, and, with the future in mind, offers a park that is accessible and enjoyable for citizens. It achieves this with the strategies that are sensitive to the ecological needs of the area, while also achieving a unique integration of memory, leisure, and ecology.
Bé, doncs,
Okay, so I don't want to keep you waiting any longer. I guess you're all nervous to know what the jury's verdict is of this 2024 Prize for Urban Public Space. So the winning project of the European Prize for Urban Public Space 2024 in the general category is the Park at the Warsaw Uprising Mound by Archigres and Toposcape. The developer administration is the Warsaw Greenery Authority, and I will now read the minutes of the jury that pays special interest to the capacity of this project to embrace the memory of the place with an experimental approach to its materialization. The design recognizes that the space and the experience of the citizens become part of a collective memory, approaching history not through monumentalism, but through a material, ecological and pedagogical approach. The park becomes a memorial in and of itself. The project, the jury says, stands out for its recognition of the complexity of public space, which comprises multiple layers of meaning and interaction. In reconfiguring the traditional aesthetic of an urban park, it reimagines the park as a profound ecological entity, accepting invading species and embracing an element of unfinished imagination that encourages user participation and reveals a new aesthetic for urban parks. Magdalena Wneck from Toposcape and Massimo Rezek from Archigres Studio will be receiving the awards. They are the authors of the project. They will receive it on behalf of the developers of the project. And we would like to invite to the stage Mr. Pau González Val, Deputy President of the Culture Department of the Barcelona Provincial Council, to present the award. Thank you all very much.
acosteu-vos per la foto.
Please come closer for the picture.
Bravo, felicitats.
Bravo, congratulations.
So many emotions, and I think we are all thrilled. We want to congratulate all the other participants and all other finalists, because all the projects are fantastic and so inspiring. And there are so many people to thank to. Our co-workers, we counted like 200 people who work with this project, so it's a lot. So there are a lot of people to thank to. Our co-workers, scientists, researchers that helped us to develop this project, that helped us to design this, actually a process. We didn't start, we didn't finish. We designed the new directions of the natural flows and the flows of the people. And I'm very grateful to the jury that saw our project, the uniqueness of this project, and we call it a method. We are trying to create a new public space, and a new way of being in a public space. Public space which is more resilient to climate change and connected with the history of the place. Thank you very much. Maybe you want to add something?
We also wanted to thank the city of Warsaw, who supported us all the time, and they have a big trust in what we're doing, because it wasn't a standard work. We had some crazy ideas, and they believed in us and supported us. And we also want to thank the contractor, who, as we said yesterday, was open to all experiments and very, very patient, and also very engaged in this project beyond our expectations. So it's, as Marcin said, it's the whole team, and it's the prize for all them also. It wouldn't be as good as it is without them. So thank you.
Doncs moltíssimes
Congratulations, truly. My deepest congratulations for this prize to both studios. And now, yes, thank you. I would like to apologize on behalf of the president of the Barcelona Provincial Council who couldn't be here. It is a pleasure, this week between the weather, the time change, the switch to summertime, being able to meet you all here is comforting. The idea of Europe in and of itself is closely related and deeply based on the idea of cities. This grouping of cities, some of them with thousands of years of history and others are more new and modern, with a fraternal relationship, with the same model of civilization and with some projection into the future. The Europe of the 21st century is an heir of all of these. It's the Europe of values, of people, of equity, equality, inclusion. All of this is theory, but the director of the CCCB said this at the beginning. If all of this idea of the Europe of the 21st century, if it ever has been at a crisis, it is today, when we see that the EU is, to put it finally, it flirts with neo-fascism proposals of the Italian right, denying right to asylum. When we see this European reaction to current problems, we need many more experiences like the one we are having today. And I'm going back to the origins of this prize 20 years ago with the goal of reconquering Europe. In 1999, it was called Reconquering Europe, and reconquering this idea of fraternity, encounter between different peoples, diversity, equity, and building this Europe of the 21st century. And this reconquest of Europe goes through cities and understanding it. Well, I'm the last one to have the floor, so I'm going back to things that were said before, like the head architect of Barcelona said the city is not finished, it's not done, it will never be. Or Bet Ghali, president of the jury, has mentioned this idea of not starting anew every time, which is an idea that oftentimes when we try to build cities, when we try to build projects, we tend towards this idea. And it's good for Bet Ghali to remind us of this. We shouldn't start from scratch. We shouldn't reinvent the wheel every time. And being able to meet here with so many different people, we see that it's not necessary. The city is not finished, but we do not need to start from scratch. And this reconquest of Europe goes through turning public space into a space where people can meet, participate, live, be as a community, and therefore a space where we should also manage any conflicts that come up, because of course human relationships lead to conflict, and urban space means conflict as well. We've had a lot of examples today of how to manage these conflicts amongst people with the environment. All of the seafront category talked about this rebuilding the cities and its relationship with the environment. The last ones we saw in the general category were also reconstruction of the relationship of cities with the environment, in the case of the two last ones with this forest. And it all goes through generating culture, generating fabric, and creating this new us that some are trying to minimize and generate the others versus us. Public space is a space where we meet people we do not know. So the work of architects is very important. Also the work of institutions behind these proposals. And I'm stressing this because I think that it is one of the good things about this prize, valuing architectural work and also promoting the institutions that bring these interventions forward. Public space needs to be the living room of us all. It shouldn't be a hallway, it should become a living room, the place where we read, where we meet. And all of these projects, not only the ones we saw, all of the ones that were presented, nearly 300 projects, And I would like to thank each and every one of them and thank the jury, because for me, only having seen train projects, I thought it was very difficult to choose. So I cannot imagine the work of the jury in having to choose only 2 out of the almost 300 projects that were presented to this prize. And adding that these are not only great ideas, oftentimes we award great ideas, these are realities. So we can learn, we can share, and Judith Carrera said it, Maria Bohigas said this, we can learn and share also through the archive that is being fed and year after year contains more and more information about this shared European construction. 24 years later, we continue to reconquer Europe with what makes us into cities and Europe, activities, diversity, social relations, and this prize honors the rich, complex, free, democratic Europe that is and should be even more, guaranteeing the futures of so many people. We will all continue to work to make it possible. Thank you very much. We will all do our bit.
Moltes gràcies per acompanyar-nos i per...
Thank you so very much for joining us. But we're not done, because now we will proceed to handing the diplomas to the finalists of the general category and also the authors of the seafront category who are here today with us. So I would like to invite into the stage Beth Ghali, president of the jury, to hand the diplomas, and the finalists, you can come up to the stage when you hear your names.
Els tenim aquí a...
Okay, let's go. We have them here. We will start with the general category finalists. So we've received the authors of the 7 interventions in Monte, Castel San Pietro in Switzerland, author Subio Ser, developer community Castel San Pietro. Rina Rolitiziano Ster will be receiving the diploma. You can come up to the stage.
Poseu-vos un moment per la fotografia.
Can you pose for the picture, please?
Sí, tots 3.
Yes, all 3 of you, yes. There you go, perfect.
Doncs vinga, ja la tenim.
Okay, we got it. Thank you. And we'll continue now with the exhibition Palace in Charleroi, Belgium. The authors are Jan de Wilde Ingeving en Agua, and Jan de Wilde Ingeving and Adolf Allen will be collecting the diploma. You can come up to the stage. Exhibition Palace, Charleroi, Belgium. Palais des Expositions.
Som-hi també, Bet.
Okay, you can come closer so we can take the picture.
Som-hi, doncs seguim...
Thank you. We'll continue.
Seguim amb el tercer.
We'll continue with the third finalist. Boca de la Mina Promenade in Reus, Batlle Roig authors, developer Town Council of Reus, Mario Sunyer and Enric Batlle will come up to receive the diploma.
La fotògrafa em demana que...
The photographer is asking me to get you closer to here so she can take the picture. Thank you.
Doncs ja tenim el tercer...
Okay, that was the third diploma. Now on to the fourth for the urban forest in Tbilisi, Georgia. The authors were developer Tbilisi City Hall Carter Foundation, Sarah Kraus will come up to the stage for the award.
Bé, doncs ara passem als...
And now on to the finalists of the seafront category, the ones who were able to make it today to Barcelona. We will start with the Palamos Coastal Walk. Authors are the consultants associats Estudi Martí Frank Arquitectura de Paisatge and Martí Frank from Martí Frank Architecture and Ton Ardèvol from other consultants associats. Please come up to the stage.
Una mica més a prop.
And a bit closer, please, for the picture. Please come closer. There we have the photographer.
Bé, i ara seguim amb el projecte Parc Marítim.
And now on to the Sea Park in Rimini, Italy. Benedetta Tagliabue, EMBT Architects, the developer Municipality of Rimini, and receiving the diploma Marcia Faranda and Valentina Norris. You can take the stage.
Som-hi, fem l'última fotografia.
Okay, last picture.
Doncs moltes felicitats.
Congratulations. We would like to send our greetings to the authors of the other two projects who are following us on streaming from Delft and Dublin. And we would like to congratulate you as well on being finalists. And I will continue with Beth Gali. If you could please share some reflections about this year's prize. Good afternoon, everyone. This year has been a year of prizes and awards because 3 episodes coincided at the same time, which have allowed us to see where we are regarding architecture and urban space. The Mies van der Rohe Prize, FAT Architecture, and the European Prize for Urban Public Space. These are prizes, awards that once more allow us to take the temperature of our professions. And it is true that for many years now, we know that the role of the public space is essential for social quality in the cities. And this is why public space projects should bring new proposals into reality that can solve the problems of an ever-changing society that evolves very quickly, and that, well, means we should all adapt. But it's not always the case. There are cities that go into a labyrinth of projects and works, normally with electoral purposes, to transform the city, that do not let the city flow, causing misalignments and increasing the inherent chaos of cities. Cities are chaos, otherwise it would be a different thing. And that lead to poor quality of life for their citizens. This year, the jury has paid special attention to the projects that have not let themselves be carried away by a certain inertia that we've been dragging for years, having a positive impact in cities, both in the physical sense and in terms of understanding the needs of citizens. The current call, as we said before, has received almost 300 works between seafront and urban spaces, distributed amongst 30 countries. There have been positive aspects and negative aspects. Generally speaking, the positive aspects, we think, that have been, well, from the situation in the 80s, we've moved towards a certain degree of normalcy. I'm still wondering whether what we now call normalcy is what is good and right. It's a way of democratizing urban space. And the negatives are a consequence of these parameters of normalcy that, well, it's becoming increasingly difficult to find projects that surprise us. For the first time, there is a new section devoting special attention to the seafronts. Very relevant in Europe. Seafronts that are not always easy to manage, especially in projects where other administrations intervene, such as the Port Authority. Well, with its name, we can already understand the difficult and complex relationships they have with local administrations. But I must say that in all projects, amongst all projects, in the section of seafront, we've seen projects that connect again with this novelty, this awe, this wonder. And this is something to celebrate. Regarding urban space, we should stress the good work of all of the examined projects, and good work meaning that it is difficult to really find surprising work. It seems like I'm always telling people off, but I think we should apply critical thinking, because otherwise we would always say that everything is rosy, and we've really had problems in finding projects that can solve the problems, of the city and that are brilliant at the same time. On the other hand, this tells us about a good predisposition of the public administration in Europe, which goes for public space projects to generate urban quality and environmental and social quality. The selected works are projects that don't let themselves be carried away by inertia, which is healthy. I mean, we welcome these projects that, despite not contributing something especially new, they weave the cities with remarkable quality. These selected works bring into reality ideas that are adapted to new social dynamics, solving environmental problems and structural problems of the cities, but also, and why not, with an aesthetic sense. It's a word that is difficult for us sometimes, and I think we should claim it. At certain points of the history of architecture, we've talked freely about it. Allow me to give you some words of advice. After seeing so many works, so many projects, we thought it would be nice to issue a warning, because we think it's about time to carry out projects that take more risks. And this word, risks, always questions many things, because what does it mean to risk something, to take risks? What's the meaning of that? So I would like to place it in between quotes, quote unquote risks. Projects, well, we've been doing things for 40 years in a very similar manner, because it turns out society evolves very quickly. It evolves quicker than we think. However, it is difficult for urban space projects to evolve in keeping with the evolutions of society. And this is just a warning that I think we should express. And I encourage the CCCB to contribute with this prize to overcoming this stagnation that has come upon Europe in urban projects. So now, on to the part that I always like to do. Words of appreciation. We should thank the CCCB for their consistency, their persistence in the organization of this prize, and all of the team that makes it possible, the jury we've worked so closely with for the past few months, understanding each other very well, but very belligerently as well, especially today, the last day. And this has been mainly thanks to the secretary of the jury, Mr. Ortega. He has been essential, indispensable for the good work of the jury and the prize. And I would also like to thank all of you for joining us, and I would like to congratulate all winners.
Moltes gràcies.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Beth, for sharing these remarks. I would also like to congratulate the entire team that made this possible, the jury, all of the members of the jury, for the great deal of work that you carried out during this year's prize. And again, I would like to congratulate the authors and the developers of the winning works and the finalists. All works that we just saw are published on the website of the European Prize for Urban Public Space, with videos, texts, images that talk about them in detail in case you want to check them. They're also part of the exhibition that you have here in the room. Some of you already took a stroll around it before. There are 5 finalists of seafront category and the 5 finalists and 20 selected works on the general category. It is an exhibition that will tour cities all over the world. And these projects will also be part of the catalogue of this year's prize, which will be published at the beginning of 2025. And now we will take a picture with everyone involved. Please, all of the authors of the project, the members of the jury, the representatives of the administration, please come up to the stage, because we will take this family photo to finish. So we will then conclude this European Prize for Urban Public Space event. Thank you very much. Thank you all for joining us, and see you next time.
Dirigeixo la foto? No.